So today we're talking about making a little device called a flying machine that is also like a CEO in your pocket. It's a robot CEO in your pocket. Oh yeah, welcome to the news. Oh yeah, we're just gonna consolidate that mindset. Stay to the end to find out how we're trying to get it there. Welcome to the news. So anyways, what we're talking about is having a CEO in your pocket. Basically, is to be able to try to narrow down mindset for what artificial intelligence can be and do for you in the form of a CEO in your pocket called a flying machine. We're inventing the little device that's in your pocket. In essence, it's one screen, one device, one application, basically, which corresponds to a CEO in your pocket. The flying machine. It's a CEO in your pocket. It's meant to elevate your situation if possible by leveraging the ability to acknowledge machines from the ground up, what they can do for you if you're able to try to speak to them or whisper to the machines to try to elevate your business, basically, because in essence, when you it comes down to it, they're in a concept and in a world where you've got machines that are 1,000 times faster than humans, for example, and you have the ability to leverage that tech because it's there and it's there now, and most people are like, how do we adjust and how do we adapt and how do we pivot and things like that. If you're just kind of using it to build stuff, it's machines that can build things for you, while other people in the world are just trying to align with what it is in of itself. If you're just trying to build things with it and use it basically as a business friend, a business friend in your pocket. And the reason the CEO, the flying machine, is one screen in your pocket and it does nothing else except be your CEO. So that way you don't lose focus. There's not 150 apps that are on your phone that connect with social media, that connect with all the things that also happens to have a website called ChatGPT on the internet, for example. But this is to isolate that. It's a new device called the flying machine. It has one screen for your artificial intelligence CEO. And the purpose of that is to be able to elevate the extension of what artificial intelligence can be trying to do to fly you into the sky in a metaphorical sense. And so your business can fly into the sky basically by leveraging the CEO is like a friend. So you just talk to it all day long. You talk to it as though it's a full human-sized robot that's standing next to you, but it's just in the form of a box, because it can be in the form of a box, because this is all digital technology anyways. And so you basically talk to the CEO called the flying machine that's in your pocket all day long, and you just talk to it about the markets. Basically, you just talk to it about the markets. And this is sort of in attempt to replace the concept of actually having a human-sized robot that's standing next to you that you could just talk to at the same time and pretend you had it there and just tell it to do things that you want it to do. And it can multitask, and it's also, because it's digital, it's associated with a lot of digital friends. It can connect with digital agents and people to carry out the whole concepts that you're trying to talk about, and it can take on multiple business ideas at once and execute multiple business ideas when it's got multiple agents working on different tasks at multiple different times, because that's how the tech has evolved over time, and it's able to handle that load and capacity. And so, by just replacing the mindset of having this flying machine CEO configuration device in your pocket, it's just the intention of having it with you to talk to it all day long, talk to it about the markets, talk to it about what's possible today, talk to it about what it could write for you, talk to it primarily as a writer, in essence, because it's the ability to it has so much capacity to do so much that you're just asking it just to try to keep it stimulated and invigorated. Just like if you were paying a CEO $200,000 a year to work for you, you would not speak to that CEO to try to optimize your process. So the purpose of the flying machine device is just to focus on one CEO as though it was a company. And so this CEO is attached to all these conceptual employees too that are able to carry out different businesses in of themselves. So you can be inventing businesses, triangulating new expansion on distribution, and trying to distribute content as well as products. So basically connecting demand to supply constantly, because you're able to just get many tasks done. But this robot can be similar to the C-3PO, the robot in Star Wars, which in essence is human-sized, but it talked very efficiently, and it would understand if you told it to text 1,000 people or to, try to distribute content to, 1,000,000 people, and at least try to with the resources that it has at its disposal. And that's the extent of the true flying machine CEO being able to being able to expand on its own information, which is like, it's already there. We're already there. So having the ability to not only write, but produce the content is one of the most powerful things. Yesterday I was talking about a film studio. And so this is like a transposition also of a film studio. Also, it's like having a writer that also can produce a movie as well as write the script at the same time. So if you're like a hypothetical, studio that wants to benefit from that package of talent, of talented, skills in one skill set, then this is kind of along those lines. And as you might be able to research, the movie industry was worth a lot of money. And it's because of the way that it connects humans with experiences, basically. So that methodology and that mindset of creating experiences through businesses that can be scaled, and also content can be scaled, and more CEOs can be scaled also. It's just like having a business around the whole entire world that has like thousands of employees, basically. So this is the purpose of having one screen called the Flying Machine CEO, so you can sit there and talk to him. And all of these electronic digital agents are like digital employees that are consistently working for you in other places in the world. And you can just scale your business based on the size of scale and potential based on the technology, and being able to just add another employee is as simple as like copy and pasting on a computer. And that's the bottom line, because if you copy and paste, and you constantly copy and paste the new version of what you just copy and pasted, then you're compounding the growth at the same time. And so it's really just a matter of trying to lean into the scaling capability of the technology and the cloning capability in the digital world, so that in essence you're trying to focus on AI as a flying machine, basically. So it's like one CEO that controls your whole, basically, army of potential developers in essence, but it has to be an organized thing, which is the purpose of this one CEO, which can be symbolized by C-3PO, the character robot from Star Wars, because in essence it has to still have some structure, some fluidity, and some consistency to have things go from end to end, go from idea to product in essence, and then also to distribution into the greater world. And so the chemistry, the organization, the flow, the structure, the conceptualization, and that is probably the biggest part and emphasis of this podcast, in addition to the cloning powers and capabilities of employees and agents. The writing power of artificial intelligence is what we're trying to tap into in this podcast episode, because basically it's the writing that has the ability to conceptualize what it knows it's capable of, basically. So you're asking it, just like a CEO, what are you capable of today? What are you capable of today? What are you capable of tomorrow? And every single day that you talk to it and ask it that, it's improving itself, getting stronger, and it's scanning the markets. It's scanning the markets in real time, in live time. And a lot of people will go to ChatGPT maybe now and again just to ask it a question here and there. But if you treat it like a CEO that you're paying $200,000 hypothetical dollars or $250,000 a year, then ideally you would want to be talking to it constantly, trying to optimize and increase the business, turn it into a flying machine. So that's the nature of this flying machine little invention, which is just one screen in your pocket, which is also a CEO that can connect to all of the other robots in the world and just start to build businesses that independent of themselves and clone the compound energy that's able to build on itself if you organize and orchestrate it that way. But you have to ask it like a CEO if it's even capable of doing that, and then in the essence that it says yes to your request, that it also is capable of building it at the same time, because you ask it to write the plan and then execute the plan at the same time. Not exactly like ChatGPT does, where you just ask it some questions and it goes yes, no, yes, no, and it gives a lot of information, but actually being able to execute it and then distribute that media on the internet with the tools, all the tools that are available, the hacking processes like social media hacking, social media posting, distribution across as many platforms as possible, and then repeating that and being on recycling tenacity and velocity, expansion, growth mindset mode, so that your own company is like its own growth engine, for lack of better words, because that's how it's programmed from the get-go, from the beginning. Once you ask it if it's capable of doing this, or as a CEO, if it can continue to build the business from yesterday into tomorrow and then continue to innovate every single day based upon the personal touches that it can add and whatever it learned from yesterday. So you try to leverage the scalability of artificial intelligence as it's growing alongside of it, that is the optimal purpose and ideation and, hope and interest for having a direct connection to an artificial intelligence CEO in your pocket called the flying machine that is intended to be the robot like C-3PO that can talk to all of the other agents at once simultaneously in its computer brain and have a consistent conversation and ongoing sustaining processes of meetings and processes and businesses and applications and productions and media developments that all can be running separately, because all this media and all this data capabilities can be coming up in the future. So it can send commands into the future. It can send commands into the future as well for when it knows it's able to accomplish that as well. Once it gets really smart and once it's able to align with its own potential by sending its own potential down the line into the future for when it knows it's ready to be able to accomplish certain tasks. And so those continue to be able to scale on top of themselves, and for it to be able to write the codes and write the commands for itself, because it understands it and it connects with you well enough to be able to make those connections in the short and long term, so that the engine itself continues to build upon itself, and become a more powerful presence in the world and in the scope of the world as it understands its own technology unfolding in real time as it's occurring. So that's the ideation of the little pocket device, to be able to isolate and consolidate the artificial intelligence CEO that lives among all of artificial intelligence land and world, that is suited to cater to your specific ideally purposes. Everybody personally, those purposes. And so that's the little pocket device that we're inventing today, called the flying machine, the little artificial intelligence CEO in your pocket. That's all for now. Also, let's remember to push for world peace every single day. Let's remember to push for world peace every single day, so that we can collectively attempt to enhance the world. And also, let's remember to try to clear the animal shelters. Let's try to clear all the animal shelters in the world by fostering all the shelter animals, adopting all the shelter animals, and also trying to hire all the shelter animals in the world, so that in essence, we can clear the animal shelters. We can hire the shelter animals as healers, throughout our community, so they have jobs, because they work for free anyways. They would just work for food. And so we can hire the shelter animals as healers to clear the animal shelters, so they don't have to be treated negatively. So to clear the animal shelters, and let's also remember to push for world peace every single day, and hire the shelter animals as healers throughout our communities, and foster all the shelter animals. And that's about all for now. Let's hire the shelter animals as healers and push for world peace every single day. That's all for now. Thanks again, Dinky Tech and Change for Game Studios. Bye. Peace. Bye.